Okay, so I'm going to go over this study guide that we went over in class today. The first one is we're going to transfer from word form to written form with numerical written form. I told students to read it out 20 times the sum of 14 and 23. Whenever they see the word the, I encourage them to put a parentheses around it and then ask themselves the question, the what? Here it says the sum of 14 and 23, so they will put their end parentheses. And now we're going to go ahead and write it over here. 20 times, and then they'll put their parentheses. The sum is the answer to an addition problem, so the sum means we're adding these two numbers together. Okay? And so now if we're going to go ahead and solve that, we remembered about our order of operations, but please, excuse, my dear Aunt Sally, brackets, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So there are no brackets. There are parentheses, so we'll solve this first. And 14 plus 23 is 37. They're going to bring down the rest of the equation, which is 20 times. And they're going to go ahead and solve this. They can solve it any way they want to. If it's easier for them to draw an area model, I'm okay with that. They can take the 37 times 2, which will give them 14. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and then they have 1 0 left over, so 740 would be the answer. Okay, moving on to the next one here. Divide there's the word the what? The difference between 2,700 and 300. Okay, and then, so we're dividing this thing in parentheses by 6. So we're going to go ahead and do our parentheses first. The difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So 2,700 minus 300 divided by 6. Okay, we're going to use the order of operations, which tells us that we're going to do our parentheses first. And 2,700 divided minus 300 is 2,400 divided by 6. 24 divided by 6 gives them 4. There's no zeros to cross out here, so we have 2 zeros left, so our answer is 400. Our next problem gives it to us in numerical form. We have to write it in word form. So a lot of kids are going to want to say 2 times 3 plus 5, and the problem with that is that if you write it out like that, 2 times 3 plus 5, then order of operations tells you to do this first, which is not what they want you to do. So since there's a parentheses, they're going to want to use the word the. So we'll go ahead and start 2 times the, because of the parentheses, sum, it's addition, of 3 and 5. Okay? So then when we go to solve this here, we'll do our parentheses first, and 3 plus 5 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. Moving on to this one here, we have a parentheses again, so we'll start with the. And since this is addition, we're going to write sum of 12 and 40 times 22. When they go to solve it, 12 plus 40 is 52 times 22. And I'm going to cheat and get my calculator. I mean, I'm just going to skip that for time purposes. I think there's a calculator in my top left drawer over there. I'm going to send Isla over to get my calculator. Okay, so I'm going to skip that and come back to it. Looking here, it says compare the two expressions using greater than, less than, or equal. For each, explain how you can determine the answer without calculating. So this is what really threw some kids off without calculating. They said, Ms. Soto, can I go ahead and calculate? You can, but you're still going to have to answer the second part of explaining how you can do it without. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. Here we have 200 times 3. And here we have 30 times 40. Okay? And so that can also, thank you, Isla, that can also be written as 300 times 4. 30 times 40 is the same thing as saying 300 times 4. And this is more than, 300 times 4 is going to be more than 200 times 3.